Welcome back to another Hailing Frequencies Open, where each week we open the hailing frequencies to your frequencies. We discuss what you discuss on episodes of Star Trek we discuss.
They're hailing us. Hailing frequencies open.
Captain, we're receiving 285,000 hails.
I wish I knew what to tell them.
This week we're going to get into some cool comments, I'm sure. So let's start off with last week's Hailing Frequencies Open video, where we discussed unnatural selection. So starting off here, of course, is from my office. He says, blah, ha, 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 ha. I cannot be stopped. Which, of course, he's referring to how I tried to shut him down, but he was still able to comment. So that's good. He says, I'd like to test out how this comment reading works. Hi, my name is Caleb, and I'm a silly face. From my office is amazing, and I love his long comments. There you go. There's a sound bite for you. He says, how awesome that Mike Akuda answered you. How would you feel if a Patreon supporter continually asked you to just keep watching all the worst Star Trek episodes every week? Do you guys have veto powers? Yes. Yes, we do.
Yes.
I think I commented on this to him.
Yeah.
And I was like, the Nerd Hole podcast reserves all rights to veto any.
Yeah.
He says, enjoyed the show, guys. It's always fun. Which, yeah, obviously it's always fun.
Yes. I think once we did them all, and if somebody was like, rewatch this one again, I'd be like, we already covered it. So,
yeah, go watch the episode.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. All right, so next up here we have Captain Alimar. He writes, thanks for the answer to my question, guys. I really enjoy the discussion about all the different medias between Star Wars and Star Trek. I've played way more Star Wars games than Star Trek, especially when I was growing up. The prequels were a big deal, and since watching them sucked, the games really went a long way to keep Star Wars good. I do agree with the general sentiment that Star Trek TV shows are better, but it's really hard to compete with New Hope and Empire on the movie front. That is true.
Very much so.
That is true. So you take like Mandalorian and Andor, which are great TV shows,
right.
But you know, you're comparing that to the entire TOS like show. I mean, there's so many episodes and seasons of it. It's not
like
a fair comparison.
If you put Andor and Mandalorian together, like you get like what, 50 episodes?
Probably, yeah.
And that's not.
And you probably get about 40 good episodes too.
Right, and then you compare it to just TOS, which is like 79 episodes. So it's like you're not counting any of the other shows or anything, like, you know.
Yeah, I would say like Andor, Mandalorian, and the Skeleton Crew is like as good as TOS. So you're like, great, but then you have like Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. So
right.
Yeah. But you know, that's the thing. Star Wars had always been movies that just recently got into the TV thing.
Right.
So that's a hard comparison, but
yeah, the thing I always talk about is like, if I was ever to have a kid, or just like if you're ever trying to get somebody to get into movies, I have a thing called like cinema classics, which is like everybody should see this movie at least once. Even if you don't like it, it's fine. You just need to see it.
Yeah.
And the original Star Wars, New Hope, is like on the list because it's like a pivotal cinema movie. Like it changed how movies were made and the content that they were showing. So the reason I say that is because none of the Star Trek movies are on that list. Because
really?
Because I mean, to me, the only way to
you got to know a lot about the show to get to the movies.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like at best, you would show them Wrath of Khan because it's very famous, or even The Voyage Home because it's very famous. But it's like you need to have watched a lot of other things in order to enjoy that.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. So he says here, speaking of movies, I had to think about ranking the Star Trek TOS movies. So here goes from best to worst. The Undiscovered Country, The Voyage Home, Wrath, Motion Picture. What does he says, what does God need with a starship? And then the resurrection of Spock. I can get behind that list.
Wow. He put search
Undiscovered Country,
he put
The
Search for
Voyage
Spock at
Home.
the bottom. He's literally saying the worst movie
Yeah, the worst is Spock.
is
Yeah.
Search for Spock, yeah.
I,
But
I get why people don't like that movie.
sure. For me, I would put Search for Spock probably after Wrath, and then be Motion Picture, and then Final
Yeah.
Frontier. That's where I would put it.
Yeah,
You
that's kind of where I would.
you had like an original. I think it's on your Nerd Holes Undiscovered Country video. Like you ranked them.
Mm, I think for me, I don't know. It's been a while since I've even thought about the movies now, but I think for
Let
me it would be
me pull them up.
Voyage Home, Undiscovered Country, Spock, Wrath Motion Picture. The God one is bottom tier, easy. Like easily. I don't know. But I like Child Spock because of the animated series. So
True. I'm
that's
trying to
funny.
find.
I might even put Wrath after Motion Picture too, honestly. I really am not a fan of Wrath. So starting from best to worst.
Okay, that's the worst.
Yeah, best to worst. I'm doing Voyage Home,
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Undiscovered Country,
Okay.
Search for Spock,
Okay.
so far. Wrath of Khan, Final Frontier, and then the motion picture. Wow. Well, it's changed. I
You just put
definitely
yeah.
put Final Frontier at the bottom. Easy. The motion picture is just boring,
Yeah.
is really the only problem with it. It's just boring. Anyways,
Nice. Thanks for that list. We appreciate
yeah,
rankings. We
it's
like
great.
rankings.
And it's okay to be wrong. That's what we've come to find out on the show. It's okay to be wrong. You can put Spock at the bottom. I don't hold it against you. But just know Final Frontier is, in fact, bottom tier Star Trek movie. He says, I sure hope Let That Be Your Last Battlefield is all right. Not gonna lie, guys, I haven't seen it in forever, and I skipped it like you when you were going over TOS. So good luck, Caleb. I have not watched it yet. Been very busy. Very busy.
Very, very.
I think Caleb's side about how good TOS is and how surprised he was that he loved it is a pretty common experience now. I personally just remember seeing TOS reruns on TV and thinking that it was a fun show with cool characters, and every week the crew ran into a new nightmare and they had to endure so they could explore space. That's pretty funny. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. It's like X-Files before X-Files. Every week is a new monster.
Yeah, true.
It's pretty
Yeah.
good. So then he says, question for this week, which is the more iconic starship, the Constitution class, the TOS, or Galaxy class TNG?
That's a question.
That's a hard answer
It's a really hard answer.
because, first of all, nowhere on this list is the NX class. So right off the bat, don't care. I
Like,
enjoy the style of the 50s more, but that's just a personal, I like the really round saucer, but it's also like square. Like the edges are crisp, you know what I mean? They're like that
yeah,
crisp, circular, like flat circular disc. I like the nacelles. I'd like,
yeah.
yeah. No, I really enjoy the TOS shit probably more.
I
But
think,
I haven't watched a lot of TNG yet either, so.
yeah. I think across the board, if you showed the next generation Enterprise or the original series Enterprise, like everybody across the board would know it's something to do with Star Trek. You
Yeah,
know, the
both,
saucer
yeah.
and then the cells, like you would just know that. But the only thing I'll give to TOS is they never ever refer to, like, if it's another show and they're like, "Oh, that guy's a nerd." or that guy's really cool or whatever, or when they talk about duos, they never say anybody from Next Generation. They're never like, oh, that's a real Picard and Riker situation, or that's a real Picard and Data situation. They'll only refer to Kirk and Spock, like
Mm,
in any type of media. They never refer to like Next Generation as like Star Trek. You know what I mean? Like if they're going to talk about Star
yeah.
Trek in a movie or in a scene or something, they're not going to talk about the Next Generation. They're going
Well,
to talk
that's
about
because
the '60s show. So
Will, everyone's a superhero, everyone's a Captain Kirk.
exactly, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, got it. Yeah,
So
so for me, so I'll give you a live graph, right?
yeah, here it is.
All right, so this is TOS, this is TNG, right?
Yeah,
TOS ship is like do 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 do, and then next generation ship comes in and like, oh, I like this ship, right?
yeah.
And then they separate. So TOS is the better ship. No, but
uh,
honestly, so here's how I rank things. So for his question, I'll say TOS. But in
yeah.
actuality, what it is what do I have in my office or basement? I have an
Mm,
NX-01 ship painted like the Mirror Universe. So there you go.
mm.
I don't have a TOS ship or a TNG ship. So
Well,
yeah,
everybody likes
there
their
you
first
go.
Star Trek. Everyone likes their first Star Trek.
Yeah. But I think like if I were to like print another ship and have on display, it would be the Enterprise from TOS.
Yeah. So I think in general, my answer is the Constitution class is solely more iconic because media only refers to Kirk and Spock, so therefore they get the upper hand over TNG. But to me, if it wasn't for that fact, they're probably a tie.
And not to continue on this topic, but
Okay.
another major factor for me about the ship is the interior of the ship. So like
Hmm.
the bridge is much better. TOS Constitution ship is much better. So there you go. I really do not like. I really have finally come down to like a solid conclusion that I really hate the TNG bridge, and I
Wow.
don't. I
Really?
know.
Wow.
I'm sure a lot of people are upset by that, but that's just how I stand. I
Not a fan
really
of it.
don't like it. Not a fan. No, it's too. It's too big. It's too much. It's too much.
Maybe
And I
over
really
time, maybe.
hate how they sit next to each other. I really don't like it. Don't like it. The captain is supposed to be in the middle. Then all the stations are supposed to be around him. And the therapist is down in the basement where they belong. Okay. All right. So all right, so let's get into our review of Matter of Honor. This is the one where Riker eats bugs again.
Yes.
So starting off, this is the Thaystrom review. He says this week on TNG, Worf welcomes Riker back. Danger on the Enterprise. Pretty good. The scene with Wesley mistaking a stranger for his Benzite acquaintance was a hilarious meta joke about production cutting corners by reusing the original fitted latex mask. But within world, it means humans still can't tell foreigners apart. Wesley knows his space races as shown in the exam episode. So it's not like Benzinites only have 5 face presets like a 2004 video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's like it's like Oblivion. It's like
Yeah,
Oblivion or
right.
like Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
that's
oh,
funny.
check it out. He looks like this guy or he looks like this guy.
All right, so the next up here is Captain Alimar. He says, "Drop your shields and surrender. We're back, baby. Easy. 2 Akutas for this week. I described this episode as a lot of fun. The only thing I didn't like that Will brought up was the Klingon captain gets dumb so the rest of the episode can happen."
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens in every Star Trek episode that we've come to learn.
Yep.
People get
Sadly.
stupid so the plot can proceed forward. He says, now a list of things I like. Riker seems genuinely interested to learn about the Klingons and excited to try new things. Riker does research before going on board, talking to Worf, trying some food, trying his best to be respectful.
Yep.
Everything that happens on the Klingon bird of prey is great, basically. Yeah, I liked all that
Oh
stuff. I
yeah,
thought that
it's
was cool.
they found a really amazing way to write Riker and he surprisingly isn't racist in an episode where they like generally don't like Klingons, like that's how they present things. So you would assume
No.
that he's going to say or do things that are like inherently terrible against them, but they end up writing Riker to be like
Hmm.
really amazing in the episode. So
Yeah. No, he like genuinely cared to learn about their culture and society.
right.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned next week when Riker goes aboard a Romulan ship. Says Will brings it up, but they go from joking about Klingon women to a great character moment about Klingon honor and fathers. Yeah, that's a great scene.
Yeah,
The bird of prey looks amazing. Yeah, the Klingon ships always look great. I really enjoy the
they
Klingon
do.
ships.
Yep.
I liked Picard's stance in the phaser training room. It's like an old school shooting stance or something. Yeah, I think I ragged on that a little too hard.
It's okay. It's fine.
It's just funny how in the future they don't use their eyes to aim guns. So
They don't have to.
no, you shoot with feeling.
Yeah.
That's why they always miss.
I don't want to hit him.
I don't want to hurt anybody. Oh man. I still don't understand how Klingons ever made it into space with the way their society works. But this episode goes a long way to make you believe it could work. Klingons laugh, love, and invent warp technology like everyone else.
That's
You
right.
lost me at warp technology. That's pretty funny.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nothing but farmers and targ
Yeah.
wranglers and authors,
Scientists. Yeah.
scientists. Yeah, oh yeah, engineers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because not only did they invent warp technology, but they also invented cloaking technology.
Yep.
So that takes some pretty serious engineering and scientists.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, cool. I'd like to see more on that, please.
No.
Well, no. Mm-mm. Wesley is a space racist. All these Benzites look the same. Nice job, Wonderkin, our modern day Mozart. I love how episodes where Wesley's in it, like very briefly, like the fans still are like, what an idiot. I hate Wesley.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
They basically wrote him to be like, well, the audience is going to think it's Mordok, so let's have Wesley say, oh, wow, it's good to see you, Mordok. How did you get here? And it's like, oh, I'm not Mordok, I'm Mendon. And it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. But they don't realize
I
that
don't
makes
understand.
Wesley look super dumb.
It does, yeah. But that whole thing is bad anyway, because like we talked about last week, it's like, well, he's coming aboard from his Benzite ship to
Yeah.
learn about humans, but he's also wearing Starfleet uniform and he's an ensign. So I'm like, I don't understand. I kind of give Wesley a pass because even I'm like, what is it? What is he doing? Is he in
Sure.
Starfleet? Is he not in Starfleet?
Yes. No.
No,
I
no.
don't know.
Then he goes on to almost cause an intergalactic war. Sick of him. I hate him already. Okay. Good stuff, guys. Keep up the great work. And the popcorn award goes to Frakes.
Ooh.
Yeah. Next comment here is from my office. So strap your seatbelts into your space shuttle. Put it in cruise control. All right. Hey.
Give
He
yourself
says
a
three
hypo
Akuta.
spray of caffeine.
I wish. Three Akutas. Wow. It's great to see you guys continuing to grow and have Captain Alimar as a supporter. I've thought about it before as well, but since you read comments of supporters, it would add another 30 minutes to your podcast to read my comment. Yes. So we'd literally have to start like Patreon frequencies open and it's
Oh
like a
yeah.
Tuesday show. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
He says trivia was really fascinating this week. All the different food choices were interesting to know about. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I know that was cool. I enjoy a lot of that kind of stuff, like sushi and Asian market, that kind of stuff. But when you
Yeah.
told me that, like, he just went down, he just bought a bunch of just fish parts and was like, "Eat it." I was like,
Do it.
I don't know about that.
Well,
Nowadays, they'd make that out of like gummy or something, you know.
oh yeah.
They'd like cast octopus arms in like gummy
I
material.
think even now what they would really would honestly do is they would eat something like you're saying, but like on the table they would just like CGI all of that stuff. Like because they would just make it look crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they would show like an up close shot of it being gross, and then the
Right, right,
farther shot it wouldn't be anything crazy.
right.
Even like this though, you could show like in the episode the space worm one, right, where it's like they
Mm.
could have showed the close up bowl of like the maggots moving around,
Oh yeah.
and then from like further away when Riker eats them, they could have just had it be like dyed rice or something.
Right, right, right.
So it looks like it, but for this episode, it was very weird that Mendon is also an exchange officer but wearing a Starfleet uniform. Yeah, we just talked about this.
Yep.
I hadn't really caught that, but it is very bizarre. I just assumed he was in Starfleet. They should have made Riker wear a Klingon uniform. Yeah, I know. That's what I said. That would have been
100%.
cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude.
With the sash and everything. That would have been
Yeah, yeah.
sweet. Yeah, what if you went down to like the ship's like prop guy and they put like ridges on him?
Get his beard braided.
Yeah. Sharpened his teeth.
Yeah.
He says, Wesley, not all Benzites look the same. I think they should have skipped over this and had made the character Mordock reconnecting with Wesley after he's served in Starfleet now for a year. Mendon is super eager, pretty sure of himself, and seems to want to improve everything. He comes off as annoying to me. So perfect as a pairing for Wesley. Yeah, he does. He comes off very annoying this episode, and I think that's true. I think if they would have just made him Mordock, it would have been fine. But the whole point of the episode is that he doesn't inform anybody about that thing on the ship because that's not how Benzites do it.
Right.
So he can't be from Starfleet. He has to be from a Benzite ship to ignore protocol to start
Right.
a whole war.
Yeah, but to me, like they could have picked like literally anybody else. Like you don't have to put Mordock like a Benzite in that position and be like, oh,
Yeah.
let's have be confused. It's like you don't have to do that.
No, it could have been any other exchange student, right?
Literally any
Yeah.
other. They could have made up an alien episode for this episode, like they always do.
Yeah. But they're
Like
gonna just use
the
what they have.
Soleil and the whatever, like the dog people and the lizard people, like they don't come back. It's like, but you
One and
have
done, baby.
you have all those headpieces. Like, just bring them out. Like,
They all fell apart as soon as they ended filming. You know how it is when you go to a con. It's like glued together and duct taped and wished to not come apart. And then you get
please,
home
oh
and it just falls
please.
up. After you sweat in it for 3 hours, it just it just disintegrates. Riker and Picard are off to the phaser range for some Parisi's squares. These are Parisi's cubes that they're shooting at. Their stances are funny to see. What's the point? I don't know. I don't know what the point is.
It's so that you can see his hands at all time when he's.
No, 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 no. Yeah, yeah. In case he
I,
needs to, in case you get too close and he needs to like karate chop you quick with the other hand.
the only thing I'll say in not in your defense is that when Patrick Stewart or Jonathan Frakes go to fire, they do slightly turn their head. I know their arms are straight out, but I'm just saying they
Yeah,
do like
they
kind of like
do.
that thing.
Well,
So.
yeah, it's a natural instinct. They weren't supposed to, but that's just how they acted it. Is that like a fencing stance? Do you put your hand up when you fence like that?
I don't. Maybe I don't think so, but maybe I'm
I
not a
don't
big
know. I
fencer.
just maybe that was the thing was like,
We'll ask.
fencing is elegant and futuristic, so
We'll have Daystrom review. Let us know because I think they said that they did
yeah,
fencing or something like that. So
maybe. I don't know. I think the design choice honestly was just that like it was more elegant. It looks more, less combative. It's like a defense position, not like a
I mean,
offense with like aiming a gun. I don't know.
to get you back, what's Obi-Wan doing? Right,
In
his
what
little.
in what scene? Yeah. Well, that's just cool.
Oh, okay.
Hello there. His stance is good. His stance is good.
You can get away with poses like that because it's like a sword, so you can have fancy poses. But when you're shooting, like, there's no reason
It's
you're not
gotta
going to be
be.
like,
It's gotta stem. Yeah. Yeah.
like it doesn't.
Yeah. It's got to stem from some sort of like, jujitsu or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Worf has studied and knows everything about his culture. It was nice to see them explain the Worf is more in touch with his culture now.
Yep.
Then, as Klingon stuff comes up, it doesn't seem as weird. But the idea of assassinating the captain, which is the way of Klingon, sounds a lot like the Mirror Universe to me as well. How are all the Klingons not dead now? Only the slackers would survive. That's true. Yeah. It says Jonathan Frakes is always the one to do the weird things. I can see the writers thinking, okay, last year we covered him in goo and made him eat mealworms. How about this year? But why does he need to replicate so much food? It was a ton. What recipe would you want to make sure the Enterprise computer had stored for your enjoyment? Oh, that's his question this week. That scene though, like when he keeps having food brought out to him, it
Yeah.
was like, oh my God. Like
It
that's a lot
explains
of
why
food.
he's so full on the
Oh,
Klingon ship. He's like,
oh yeah,
please.
he's not eating at the Klingon ship. He's like, I just ate every food option that you have. So, what recipe would you want to make sure the Enterprise computer had stored for your enjoyment?
I think I'll be real basic and just say I'd want some chicken tenders in there.
Yes. Wow.
Chicken tendies.
Chicken tendies.
Could you imagine me just going over and just being like, 5 chicken tenders, computer, please?
No, 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 no. Man, that's tough. Here's the thing. I think the computer would already have all of the food that I would want.
True.
A thing that I make that I enjoy that takes a lot of time to make is seafood lasagna.
Oh,
So I would like the computer to have that stored so I don't have to make it. So that would be good.
Adri makes really good chocolate cupcakes that's based off of your grandma's recipe.
Oh yeah.
So I would just want that. Just like, because every time I'm like, hey, can you make cupcakes? And then she just makes cake. And I'm like, but can you make cupcakes? And she's like, yeah. And then she just makes cake. I'm like, okay. Because she doesn't want to pour it into the thing. So takes too much time. So
Yeah.
I would want the
Good
cupcake
cupcake.
recipe. That's what I would
Yeah.
want.
Dude, the technology of replicators is like it would be so monumental for like our society. I mean, it would be
Oh yeah.
I mean,
It would literally, for me personally, I would literally be like Wally. I would be in like a roaming chair over like hugely overweight. Because I would just be like, really like this
five
thing.
chicken tenders, please.
Right. Just be like, oh no, I'll have a bowl of just like a giant like Home Alone 2 ice cream sundae and then just be like and just eat friggin' a carton of ice cream and be so sick.
Five chocolate cupcakes, please.
Right, right, exactly.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's just like it just would give you so much extra time for stuff like in life.
Yeah, yeah,
Like if you can come home from work and just be like, punch into the replicator like what you want for dinner.
yeah, right.
Mm,
Mhm.
wow. Wow.
And it costs you nothing. It literally costs nothing
Yeah.
to do it.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing. And it's nobody would be hungry.
And then the crazy thing is I don't think they really show it in the show yet. But then the crazy thing is like, okay, so you and your wife, you order what she wants. You pull it out, you give it to her. You order what you want, you pull it out. You both eat it, and now all you do is literally take your plates and go back to the replicator and you don't do the dishes because the thing
Yeah.
just de-replicates.
It uses the plates to remake food tomorrow night.
Right. Right, exactly.
But the thing too is like you would always have breakfast, it's like
Oh yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like sometimes we don't have breakfast now because it's like you're always rushing to get out of the door.
Right.
And like you're supposed to eat breakfast, it's supposed to be really healthy for you to eat breakfast. And it's like, when do you want me to eat breakfast? You get up at 6 a.m. and eat breakfast? Give me a break. But you could literally go out to your kitchen and be like, coffee, egg McMuffin, and then go get ready and then come back out and be like, oh yeah. It'd be great.
Yep. It would be great.
Does anybody in this timeline drink coffee, or is it just tea?
Yes. No, yes.
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
good. So I don't have to
There's
store that.
there's down the line you'll see what happens.
All right, all right. He says the scene with Mendon and Worf was funny. Gotta follow the chain of command, buddy. Even over on the Klingon ship as well, where Riker is giving his second officer the business. Shocking panel pun because every good joke needs to be explained. Yeah, that's pretty funny. That is a great scene when he throws him into the panel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's also a great scene when Worf walks over to Mendon and he's like, "You may impress me."
But then I think the scene he's talking about too is when Mendon walks past Worf and goes to the captain. He's like, Captain, I've figured out what this signal is, and he walks off and Worf is just like, I'm gonna kill this blue guy. He says the captain did leave the bridge a lot in this episode. Maybe Captain Picard had a urinary tract infection in this episode, and it was too uncomfortable to sit in the chair the whole time.
I reject that because the
Yeah.
bathroom is the other direction.
You would know that,
I know where the
nerd.
bathroom is, and he knows where the bathroom is too. So don't even. He knows exactly where it is.
Well, he keeps going down to medical to get treatment.
No,
Yep.
it would have been fixed like that. What's a UTI? I don't know what that is.
My loyalty lies with the Retrek Review, the only Star Trek podcast. That's true. That's true. Loyalty is Riker has a way with the ladies, even the Klingon ones. Death by snooze. Yes.
100% death by
Oh,
snooze.
yes. Oh,
When I was watching it and when
oh
we
my
were
God.
reviewing it, it came to my head, Death by Snoo Snoo, but I
Yeah.
was like, nah, it's okay. I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah. That's funny. A lot of my it's so funny now to me because I grew up watching Futurama like all
Yeah,
the time,
yeah.
and I always enjoyed it. I always thought it was super funny. But now that like we're doing this, I'm like, man, yeah,
Oh.
all of this stuff comes
all,
from this,
all
Yeah.
of that stuff. Yes.
Death by Snoo Snoo.
It is
Oh
something
man.
like what when we're like in our late 40s, early 50s, and we're done with Star Trek. I have thought like, oh, it'd be fun to watch Futurama together because that's kind of like
I love it.
Star
Yeah,
Trek
it's
esque.
great. And the writers love all this stuff too. That's why that show's
Yeah.
so good. Oh man, that's so funny. That's a great episode. He says the food scene was great. If it were me, I would have asked for chicken tenders. Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, learning that Klingons have a sense of humor, learning that honor means much to them. That one won't see his father because he will not die with honor. A Klingon is his work and not his family. It was cool for Riker to learn these things, especially since he has a close connection with Worf. As an audience, it was nice to have Klingon culture explained more. They aren't just the bad guys from TOS, they're more nuanced in TNG.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. I like that a lot.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. But this is the thing I was telling you about from like episodes ago. This is what they do. They give you pounds and pounds of more information about Klingons, but don't tell you anything about Vulcans.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like it's
So-
fine. I like all the Klingon stuff. I'm happy about it, but it's like you still only know like very limited things about Vulcan.
Mhm. Well, yeah, that's for the Strange New World guys to do.
Yeah, I
They've
guess.
like really dug into like Vulcan culture.
But I just find it funny because like to me, Spock is very much like Yoda, where it's like Yoda's cool, all this stuff happens to Yoda and stuff, but like what is he? Like, well, we don't know what he is. And it's like, well, there's
Yeah.
Grogu, and it's like, what's he? Well, we don't know what Grogu is either. And you're like, oh,
Don't
okay.
talk about it. Why does he age
Right.
so slow? Why,
Yeah.
why does he eat frogs? The world may never know.
That's right.
Hey, Mr. Owl.
And then it's him crunching into the frog.
A one? A two? Okay. He says, uh-oh, we have a hull breach on the... Ah! Could it be that the Enterprise is a secret bacterial rust weapon? No. I think this Klingon captain is a real idiot and agreed with you guys on this. They're allies now. Why would the Federation suddenly try to start some sort of conflict, especially with their officer on board? They wouldn't. So there you go. Yeah, he
Nope.
does. He turns into an idiot. You know why?
Yeah,
Because plot.
plot reasons.
Plot. Plot. because because plot. I like I like when the second I like when the second officer questions the captain. Riker may be a spy, but he is not a coward. Humans don't send their own off to their deaths like Klingons do. Using the beacon to remove the dumb Klingon captain was a nice touch, but how did he materialize with the disruptor? Hmm.
I think I agree because he goes on to say what he questions there, but the thing I think is that Worf gets the transmitter and then Picard has him beam it directly to the bridge. So they don't I don't think they go through all the safety protocols that they normally would when they go onto
Um,
the transporter pads.
I didn't realize that they would do that. They would have. I mean, that makes sense that the transporter would be able to like leave
Oh
out
yeah.
weapons and stuff.
It could just gut whatever, and now you just have defunct weapons in your possession.
Wow, that's cool. He says our safety net's only in place when the transporter pad is used. Not sure if I feel it's a different actor as the Klingon captain, but maybe I didn't pay enough attention.
I think it is. I
It either
still
is
think
or
it
he's so vastly different of a character from the beginning that it just feels like he's not the
possibly.
same person.
He just feels like thinner and taller in that shot. I don't
That's because he's finally on a bridge that the ceiling is not right right here.
know.
The Klingon bridge is like here. It's like this. This is the ceiling, and then he goes down to the Enterprise, and like I said earlier, it's so big. You got 80-foot ceiling.
I think from my office spoiled you with the transporter turning off weapons.
Oh, yeah. I didn't. I didn't. I mean, it makes sense to me, but I didn't. I never knew that you could do that.
Yeah. Spoilers. We'll find him.
Spoilers. You'll be penalized. Next week, we won't read your comment. Uh, the end of the episode was some nice character touches. Pretty good episode overall. 1.5 Okudas for me this episode, as always. Great review, guys. So here's the deal. You can't do 1.5, so we're automatically bumping that up to a 2. So great. You're right on board with everybody else. Excellent work as always.
You know what's funny before you go on to his popcorn award? The thing that I legitimately was surprised. Like I don't know if I would have given it a 3, and I respect the fact that you gave it a 3 Akutas. That's fine. But I did find it
That he
interesting
gave it a 1.5 like a noob.
that he was like really surprised at your 3, that he only gave it at 1.5, and like even Alimar was like, "Oh yeah, it's 2," and I was just like, maybe it's because like the captain is just he's so dumb, and like Mendon is so dumb that you're just like I can't enjoy the other parts of the episode. Because I think
Yeah.
in my book I would probably rate it like 2.5, probably.
But maybe they know that there's better episodes this season, or maybe, I don't know.
Nah, I don't think so.
No, they don't know nothing. So for me, it's just the fact that we've been in this slog since season one.
Yes.
And so for me to actually see an episode where like they explore like culture and backgrounds and they
Yes.
connect and there's acting and there's conflict and I was like, man, wow, I forgot Star Trek could have good episodes. So that's why I rated it so high. I don't need to defend myself, but
No, I don't need you to either. No.
he gives the popcorn award to Jonathan Frakes.
So there you go.
So,
That's the question to you, Caleb. Who gets the popcorn award for being the best actor of A Matter of Honor?
Mordock.
No, no, no. He's
Yeah.
not even in the episode. It's Mendon.
Mendon, exactly.
You're not giving it
That's
to
how good he was. I didn't even
I,
notice he was different.
I'm not giving it to John Bush.
Yep, and I like, that one scene where he breathed in the vapors. Beautiful.
No.
You're not gonna dictate what I say. You're not gonna...
You don't mean it. That's why I'm not taking it. You don't mean it.
No, yeah. No, I mean it.
No.
Um, yeah, it's obviously Jonathan Frakes. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's great. He's great this episode.
He is. I think equally but separately enjoyed the fact that like when they're all like, "Do you want one of the women to breastfeed you?" And they all start laughing, and then he turns and he's laughing too. Like that shot of him like also being in on the joke is like probably well worth the episode. The
Yeah.
fact that he's not like some pouty Starfleet guy, like, no, I eat worms. Like, he's like he likes the joke too. That to me
Yeah.
that sells like the whole moment in the room.
Yes. That, even though you're different, you can still like poke fun at each other.
Right.
It's kind of just like a mutual thing. It's like a dude thing.
Yep.
It's what dudes do. They poke fun at each other. So, yes, I did like that a lot. So now, Will, it's time for your favorite segment. What is popular this week?
This is popular, so popular. This is popular this week.
So, let's see what's popular on Reddit this week. I bet it's TOS and Enterprise.
I go to the other ones, but there's like rarely anything
Okay.
that's either it's a spoiler or it's just not worth talking about.
Yeah, only when I post stuff.
Sure.
All right, so here's a picture from KK 2020. It's from Enterprise. It's a picture. He says this is the NX class and the Daedalus class ship comparison.
So that's
That's interesting.
so that's like the class of ship that I gave you guys as an alternative for the RPG.
Oh, that's so weird.
Yep.
So you're saying that in timeline, both the ships were actively out there doing stuff.
Yep. I think from information that I understand, I believe the Daedalus class is even before the NX class. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so.
Yeah. No, it looks like it would be precursor to the NX.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder what the inside of that saucer looks like.
I think there's like fan images online, or maybe even there's episodes where they show you the inside of a Daedalus class. But yeah,
Huh. Oh, wow, it's beautiful.
yeah. So
Oh,
clearly it
that's
has
that's
like
a nightmare.
this is like the turbo lift, and then it looks like the neck part is just a corridor. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. That's crazy. I figured that was just a corridor to like shuttle bay and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
It says down in here, I don't know where they're pulling this from, but it says down here, predating Zephyr Cochrane's pathfinding NX-01 Enterprise, Daedalus class starship was one of Starfleet's earliest explorers and the workhorse of the fleet for more than 75 years.
Hmm.
So,
Cool. I'm glad we didn't choose this. All right, so the next one is from the TOS Reddit. It's Linus Longissimus. I never know. This is always the same person every week.
yeah.
You always do this just to
Yep.
make it funny. He says the great love interest of James T. Kirk's life were not some green space babes, but intelligence, successful, independent, serious women.
The reason I shared this, I mean, one, it was popular on the Reddit, but it is one of the things that I get so annoyed with people who don't really know TOS, like Kirk stuff.
Yeah.
they're like, oh, he's always kissing and sleeping with women, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, he does. He is a ladies' man, and he does do a lot of different things that make him not a prude, right? He's not very like, oh no, I can't
Yeah.
possibly kiss you. But the thing that like is always heard is that he's kissing all the green space babes, and it's like,
It
no,
is. Yeah. Because even I thought that going into the show that was like true. Like those stereotypes were like true. He was always each week he was making out with a new
right.
alien.
And there's only one woman that I think significantly isn't in this matchup. Is his actual wife in the third season,
Oh.
but she's also not green though. So, but
Well, that's true.
I think in general most fans are like, oh, we don't talk about the third season. So,
Huh. Well, you know what the I mean the real main one that's not on here
yeah.
is the Enterprise. Because that was the thing. I know that is a joke. I am joking, but the thing is that in actuality, Kirk's like real love was like the ship and being in space. Like that was his.
Yep. My God, Bones, what have I done? You gave us a fighting
What?
chance, as you always do.
What?
It was funny not until we watched The Measure of a Man that I remembered here. The top lady, it says a respected, successful lawyer who works in Starfleet's legal division in the JAG office, and I was like, they literally have like rewrote again that like Picard has a quote unquote love interest with the JAG officer, and it's like that's what Kirk
Oh
had.
yeah, that's funny. What about the lady that switched bodies with him?
He didn't love her.
Well, she loved him though for
She
a
loved the
time.
thought of being him.
Hey, go stand next to
Spock.
this weird glowing wall. Change now. Uh, so there you go. That is another episode of Hailing Frequencies Open. So thank you everybody for your comments. Thanks for interacting with us, making us laugh, asking us great questions first thing in the morning. We really enjoy it. And yeah, so like always, leave your comments and we'll get to them next week. But for this week, we are closing down the frequencies for hailing are closed now. So don't comment anymore. No more.